Is your target customer a business? Do you want to understand how to market to them effectively? Tune in to my interview with Frank Husmann to hear his savvy tactics to captivate B2B buyers as he ignites demand and navigates the paradox of creating connections in a digital age.
Welcome to Biz Help for You, the show that saves you the expensive learning curve by providing advice from industry experts in every facet of the entrepreneurial journey. Too many small businesses collapse. According to the U.S. Census Bureau, 20% fail within their first year, and less than 35% make it to their 10th anniversary. The goal of this podcast is to change that statistic. So if you're interested in learning more to be a successful entrepreneur, tune in today.
Now, let me tell you a little bit about my guest today. Frank Husmann is a seasoned internet entrepreneur with a specialization in B2B and SaaS marketing. As a former SaaS founder, he intimately understands the challenges and obstacles that come with business growth. With over 2 decades of experience in B2B marketing and sales, Frank's primary objective is to support B2B founders and marketers in showcasing their expertise. His guidance aims to help them establish themselves as authoritative figures within their respective industries, ultimately ensuring a steady stream of new business opportunities. You can benefit from Frank's wealth of experience by leveraging his insights to position yourself as an industry authority, attract new clients, and grow your business with confidence. So, Frank, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Candy, for having me. Really great to be here.
Thank you for joining me today. I'm looking forward to the conversation. But before I get into questions on the topic, I'd love for you just to share a little bit more about your story and how you became an entrepreneur.
That sounds great. Well, you already mentioned in the intro 2 decades. When you say it like this, it sounds like a long time. But yeah, doesn't feel like that, to be honest. So I love the internet. So everything around that, I liked it. So I started a web agency about 20 years ago, and I created all kinds of websites, mostly for booking hotels and stuff like that, vacations, short stay. Yeah, well, fast forward to I don't know, 20 years or so, and I know a little bit about B2B. I also set up a SaaS company, and I think the greatest thing is that even though the internet is, we're apart from each other, not physically located next to each other, but I mean, it can bring so many people together, and not only with social media and stuff like that. I mean, that's not what I'm talking about. It's just great to see that something that you can't grab, something that you can't touch, it can create such a big impact. And that's still something that amazes me today.
Mm-hmm. Well, I enjoy hearing how that even began, because it's always fun just to kind of hear the story and, show like, why are you able to be here and talk about the topic that you're sharing today too. So I always love to hear that. So today, obviously, we're going to be talking about, marketing and different things, business to business generally. And sometimes when people are learning about marketing, identifying their target market, a lot of what's out there is talking business to like a customer, right? But a lot of us are business to business. So I'd love for you just to talk about how they can identify and understand their target audience's needs and preferences when you're dealing with selling to another business instead of an individual.
Yeah, so the funny thing is that we always say business to business, right? But at the end of the day, we're just talking to humans. It's human to human, which is maybe a bit corny, but at the end of the day, we need people that want to buy our service or product, right? And in B2B, right, business to business, usually it's not one person that you need to convince that your product or service is really great for their possible problem, whatever. So it's always human to human. And in my experience, like you mentioned, I've been doing this for quite a long time. It's the whole digital part of it is everyone wants to measure everything because it's digital, right? So you can track and trace everything. And I think we've been just going a way bit too far on that end of the spectrum. And I think nowadays we're just bringing it down to really connect to people. And one of the greatest ways to do that actually is to show your expertise, to show what you know, what you've been through. That's not really an answer to your question. Your question was, of course, so how can business owners identify their ideal client profile, where they are at, and how can they just communicate with them, right? And I think one of the most important things is just talk to your potential buyers if you don't have any, and if you got them, just talk to them, right? I mean, it's so especially marketeers, they can just go all into the new next big thing. Like, let's go on TikTok, for example, right? But I mean, you have to just rewind a little bit and just talk to your prospects or talk to the customers that you're already servicing in your company and just ask them, what kind of things do you read? Where do you read them? What do you watch? What YouTube channels do you watch? I mean, it's really that simple. That's just the start. And when you know that, then you can start creating content around that by showing your expertise, and they will definitely find you.
Well, I think sometimes that seems easier if we're thinking of like a one customer, an individual that we're selling to. And if a business owner is like the sole owner, you're still kind of talking to one individual. But if there is like a multi-member, ownership or a husband and wife team, a lot of times they're different as well, too, in terms of what they do, what they like, what they see, what they think their company needs too. So what would you say about how to really market to someone if it's really more than one person who's that decision maker, and being able to identify, who is the one who is going to really, in the long run, be the one that's going to make that decision, and how
Right.
to reach them?
So yeah, that's a great question, because I mean, it's always the case, to be honest, in B2B. There's hardly I think I've never seen this one person make a decision only with a sole proprietorship, maybe.
Mhm.
But then again, so there are always a couple of people that you need to convince from your products or services. And the way that I like to look at it is just, what is the buyer community? Who are in there? So how many people are in there? How many people are influencing the buyers? Sometimes it's just the CEO. They can be the sole owner, right? But there are always influencers. And there are probably blockers as well, people that really don't want to. They will say, no, it's going fine like this. We don't need another
Mhm.
extra piece of service or product or software,
It's not
So
broken.
no,
Right?
it's doing fine. We did it for 10 years like this, so why do we change? So
Mhm.
if you have that mapped out, then the next part will be, well, it would always be great to interview these people, because you've already sold to them, hopefully, and if not, trying to and reach out to them. And if you know that, then you can create content for all these different people. Because, for example, if the CFO, the financial officer, needs some specific information, you need to create that information, right? It needs to be out there. But the people that are going to use the software or your service or your product, right, they need completely different information. For example, they wouldn't want to know if it integrates in their current workflow, if it
Mhm.
integrates with Microsoft services, for example. So you just map all these questions that they will have back
Mhm.
to the content that you're going to create and that you're going to use in the way that you're going to reach them on their preferred channel where they're at.
Mhm. Right. And as you were talking about that, I was thinking like one person could be coming from like a strategy side of things in terms of why we need this potential service or software, whatever it may be, because it's going to help us, expand who we can reach. Where on the other side, you might have someone who's looking at the dollars, right? And, oh, it's going to cost this much, and looking at return on investment. So in that situation, you could be creating content to talk to both of those in different posts or different emails, or whatever you're saying is getting the word out there, so you're still reaching multiple people through different messaging.
Yeah, that's completely, yeah. And the other thing is that not everyone is in the right mindset in their whole
Mhm.
journey where they want to solve that specific problem that your company is going to solve for your possible client, right? So you
Right.
also need to be aware that some people are aware of their problem, and
Mhm.
so that's one. But sometimes they're not aware of the problem, so you need to tell them that they have a problem. Then
Right.
you need to tell them that you've got the solution to solve their problem, and then you need to tell them that your solution is better than doing it manually. Anyone else that can do it the same, right? So there are
Mhm.
a couple of stages for everyone in that journey, and some people want to have just the figures. Some people just want to have, I don't know, cases, testimonials, whatever. Okay, that's always a challenge, because we're talking about B2B marketing, right? And we're now talking
Right.
specifically about small business, but at the end of the day, it's selling paper clips to a Boeing, right? That's B2B. I
Right.
mean, or
Mhm.
a space shuttle. They don't make it anymore, but you know what I mean. Rockets. It's
Mhm.
and that's, so there's not the things that we're talking about. There are definitely general rules, and you really should do that when you want to market to your specific ideal client profile, your audience. But the nuances are always, is it going to be selling paper clips, business to business, or selling whatever big ships or something like that? Yeah.
Right. Well, and that's the thing about business to business too. We could still be selling to a very small business, or, there's huge businesses out there and, a bunch in between too. So how do we really establish credibility, especially if we're going to be like targeting these bigger businesses too, that maybe really want to see more proof of your concept or your services, so that we can attract those clients who will be willing to work with us?
Right. So yeah, I mean, anyone should create testimonials, cases. Just when you've done a project, just always ask them to create, I don't know, a photo, a testimonial, a quote, or even a case story. And if you really want to go big, then maybe try and do it on video, because you can repurpose that content in any different way, blogs, whatever. So that's just, but to me, that's just the bread and butter for your business. You really should do that. And some businesses need Google reviews or whatever, Yelp and whatever.
Right.
Yeah. But like I mentioned, it's just the basis that you need to be doing in nowadays. But when you want to just create more opportunities in a different market, or want to go upscale or whatever, you need to show your expertise. And one of the greatest ways to do that is just talk about the problems that your clients or your possible clients are facing. Make a list of the top 10, top 20 questions that they got, the things that keep them awake at night. And this has actually always been the advice that people would give you in content marketing. Maybe a little sidestep, but content marketing is just creating content about the problems that your customers face. And we used to do that with blogs a lot. Just write, which is still great advice. But nowadays, I mean, there's so many different channels that people can consume content. And so that's one of the main issues. And the second issue is that it used to be Google, but Google is not that dominant anymore, because you got different platforms that you could search on if you want to have, plumber services for your company, or AC services. So yeah, that's definitely a challenge. Back to your question, is show your expertise by thinking about their problems and communicating about how that those problems and how you could solve them for them, or how you have experienced that same problem with client A, B, or C, and how you solved it. And it sounds easy to do, but I see so many businesses not actually doing it, because they create boring content. I mean, boring is sometimes a quote that I've heard. And it still amazes me sometimes, the lack of quality content, to be honest, even though the things that I'm saying right now are not new. But there are so many new ways to create that content. And I think the number one way to do that is just have a video call like this. The way that we do it actually is just create a call with the subject matter expert. It can be the founder or someone else in the company, like a consultant or project manager, or someone in sales even, who knows all these kinds of questions, the answers to it, has lived them sometimes even as well. And just 1 hour a month, and we'll create a month of content from that. Because it's pretty easy to do a call like this for an hour, talk about these different things, create a blog article, create long form content by videos and shorts. Yeah, that's definitely the way to move forward. And I think one thing to add, and then I'll really shut up, is that this can be faked or whatever by AI. Because that's actually the third problem, the content overload. There is so much content right now. Google really has a problem with indexing it all. And every update makes sure that it's more helpful according to the algorithm of Google. But still people will crank out 10 articles a week, a month or so, about something that is just rehashing something that's already there. That's a challenge.
Right. Well, and you were talking about testimonials, and I know a lot of times customers don't think about giving testimonials like for business. You might think like, oh, I went to a restaurant and, I didn't necessarily have the best service, so I'm going to write about it or something. But in terms of service, a lot of times people don't think of giving those testimonials, and then we don't always ask our customers to provide them. Right. And then sometimes, even if we do, the customer might say, well, I'm not sure what to say, or it's going to take some time, or, so there's some challenges to overcome. So do you want to touch on any of that, about getting those?
Yeah. So, I mean, the easiest one to do is that whenever you just finish a project, just ask for a testimonial. And the way that I always do it is I will say them to them, I understand that's a bit of a stretch or whatever. Maybe it's a more workload for you. So I can do it for you as well, and you can just approve it. So that's the easiest way to do it. And everyone will say, okay, if you've done a good job, right? So that's the easiest one to do it. But personally, I'd like to see cases as well. And cases are always, I mean, they take a little bit more time because you need to know what was the situation when you started, what did you do to solve that problem, and what was the end result. Basically, that's the case that you create, and then you have to okay it by the client as well. So it's a bit of a back and forth. And one of the easiest, well, not easiest, a way that I always do it is I will do it for the client. So you can ask someone else do it. You can even, I don't know, someone that you know maybe or that you already work with to do it, because there will be another level to talk to each other, because it will not be just one show that you did such a great job and they don't want to go into any specifics, right? So you get to create another playing field to do that. So that's another way to do it. And we can still do it like this on video, and you'll have a great testimonial video that you can use wherever you like, on any channel that you like. Create a blog post as well, create ads from it as well. And of course, it depends on the relation. But I've never seen anyone say, no, I don't want to do it, to be honest. And still, if you want to do it yourself, then okay, just go ahead, do it this way. But maybe make sure that someone will do the interview that's not that involved in the project. Right. That can be a bit of a challenge, but it kind of depends on your, I don't know, on how you like to do this. But yeah, so I mean, these are the two things that I would do. So first of all, just ask whenever you finish the project, just for a small testimonial. And if you want to go big, create a case.
Perfect. So what is the definition really of inbound marketing then, compared to, we just hear marketing, digital marketing, even mailing things out as marketing, but inbound marketing, sometimes it's not completely clear a lot of times. So I'd love for you to give a definition of that. And then how can we leverage that to create demand for our products or services?
Right. So yeah, inbound marketing is everything that comes to you, and it's not based on outbound services that you do or use. And what's outbound is it's calling someone, it's using ads, for example. These are all outbound tactics. And inbound, the simplest way to channel would be someone types in Google a specific AC services, will get to your website and fill in a form, whatever calls you. That's something that's created from inbound. So Google SEO traffic is definitely inbound, but it can also be organic traffic on social channels, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. Most of my B2B clients, their ideal clients will be on LinkedIn. So LinkedIn is definitely one of the major channels that we're using, both for paid ads and organic as well. So talking about inbound for my clients, it's always it's Google inbound traffic, and it's LinkedIn social traffic. And it can sometimes even be YouTube if that's used as well. Because I think we shouldn't really underestimate YouTube as well. It's really blowing up. Always has been, but especially for B2B.
Exactly. So it sounds like, too, a lot of times the inbound is found because of maybe some of the outbound things we're doing, right? Like if we're posting things on social media and someone maybe finds out about you and they do a Google search to learn more. Obviously, if it's just someone did a Google ad and it's just like a paid ad and they find you that way without having heard, that wouldn't have been like original content that kind of drew them in. But to me, it sounds like almost like some of the outbound marketing that you could be doing might drive the inbound marketing. Like, is that really true? Are you seeing that correlation?
Well, no, I don't think so. Because for me, outbound has always been just more picking up the phone or just advertising, basically. But I do think that it should both be done to create demand for your product or service. I don't believe in inbound only, because I don't know, you can wait a long time to do that, depending on the efforts, whatever you put into it. And maybe it could have been done maybe 5 to 6 years ago, but there's so much competition right now. I think you need some outbound strategy as well. And I mean, outbound can also be just emailing people, right? And it's not you don't really have to spend ad money if you don't go that route. So yeah, they do go hand in hand. I think that's something that you should always test, and that comes back to, okay, how can we make this into smaller bits that you can really, that you can put into action tomorrow. For example, is just start by creating the content. That's one, of course, on the channel that your ideal client profile is at. But the thing is that with B2B marketing, it used to be you could put up a Google ad and people would get to your website if there was any demand, right? So for AC services, plumbing service, there is always demand. But if you would sell, I don't know, an invoicing system for dentists, for example, I mean, nowadays people will probably Google that, but I mean, 5 or 6 years ago, people will not do that specific search query. So you would have to create demand, and creating demand is actually showing up where your ideal client profile is at. And maybe dentists are active on Facebook groups, or I don't know, there are specific dentist websites, maybe even. So you should partner up with them and create demand there. So it's always inbound and outbound. They definitely go hand in hand. And yeah,
Mhm.
that's the whole challenge that we're facing right now.
Mhm. So once someone has reached out to you, maybe they did a Google search and you popped up and they're reaching out, how do you then nurture that lead to really not be so pushy, like, yes, yes, here's my service, buy now, right? But actually
Right.
nurture a relationship
Mhm.
so that they see that what you're offering is what
Right.
they really need. How do you have that balance?
Yeah. So basically, I always give before I ask anything. So I give a lot of my knowledge, but also the people that I know.
Mhm.
I like to share what I know and the people. I mean, I've been around for quite a long time, so I mean, I don't need any client tomorrow, for example.
Mhm.
So I mean, that's a great place to be in, of course. But I mean, it doesn't. And pushy sales doesn't work.
Mhm.
I've never met anyone who said, "Oh, I'm so happy that you're trying to sell me right now." So
Mhm.
yeah, just time to give. And for example, I mean, I given a webinar in a couple of days, and that's giving a lot of knowledge as well that maybe sometimes would only be available in specific, I don't know, online courses that you have to pay for example.
Mhm.
So I believe in giving a lot of the knowledge that you have. And I mean, I do it, but I mean, I would definitely advise, and I do advise it to my clients as well, and the people who are listening as well. It's just
Mhm.
share your knowledge and share it in a way that makes them, that help them really help. And at some point, they will go like, oh man, that's really a lot of work. I'm going to call
Mhm.
someone, and they're going to call you at the end of the day. And some of them won't, but I mean, you don't want to have them as a client because they're probably going to
Right.
be not spending anything at all, or just going to be tire
Mhm.
kickers. So yeah.
Right. Well, I know some people are sometimes concerned that if they put a lot of information out there for free, that they're just going to take it, do their own thing, like I said, and never really become a customer. And you just, touch on that. Maybe that's not the right customer for you anyway. But what would you say to the person, though, who's thinking, like, well, if I put too much out there, then I'm giving everything away and there's nothing really for me
Right.
to sell to them in the long run when they realize there's a need? What would you say about that?
Yeah. That's I mean, I've heard that one so many times, so it's really great that you mentioned this one. And
Hmm.
the easiest example I could give is I've worked in for accountancies in the past, and I mean, you can write so many things about accountants, but I've had an accountant for 20 years. I'm not going to
Right.
do it myself, right? So, and it's definitely a challenge to create interesting content for accountants, by the way. But I mean, so that's one example, and the same goes for plumbing or AC services. I mean, you could share how I could fix my AC, but I'm not going to do it because I'm more valuable, I think. And I think my clients think as well, when I do the things that I'm good at and share my
Hmm.
knowledge about it. So I think it's definitely a misconception that, I mean, that if you share everything you know, I mean, you can never be a brain surgeon by reading
Hmm.
or seeing videos, right? It's
Right.
also everything that you've done in the past that leads up to that, and that's why you can fix their problem quickly for that specific amount of money and time, whatever. So yeah, I'm definitely not at all. I've never seen anyone just have a problem with that when they do that,
Mhm.
but it's
Mm.
definitely a mindset that people will have when they start out with that. And if you really
Right.
have a problem with it, I think you really should share everything you know. Well, of course, up to a point. I mean, if you really have IP or whatever, don't do that.
Mm.
But you know what I mean,
Right.
right?
Mhm.
No, so I mean, no one, the people that are just going to lurk or just grab that information, you never want to have them as a client at all.
Mhm.
And the other
Mhm.
thing happens is that people will see you as someone who has that knowledge and that expertise, and they will be drawn to you because they probably will be following you for a long time, will not comment on any LinkedIn post, Twitter post, Facebook, whatever you're doing. They will not give a comment to your blog. They will not at your webinar do anything. But at some point in their journey, they'll go like, yeah, I have to call Candy now because she
Mhm.
definitely knows what she's talking about. So yeah,
Mhm.
that's what I've seen over the past for so many for the past, I don't know, so many years that I've seen, that I've done it myself, but also my clients. It's just, I think it's the way forward. Be transparent and just show what you're doing. Yeah.
Well, and that's how they're gonna know that you are an expert that you're going to be able to handle their situation because you're
Yeah.
talking to them about their needs and offering, products or solutions or, other things. Because like you said, just because someone has something doesn't mean they're going to want to do it on their own anyway. It just shows that you can help them with the problem, right?
Yeah.
So.
I think the funny thing, Candy, is that sometimes, I mean, when you have a problem, whatever, it can be a health problem, a problem with, I don't know, someone in your family, your kids, whatever, or something in your company. But what do? You Google for someone, right? And do you always just, I mean, you don't get sold, right? There's not someone in your DMs, let me jump on a quick call to fix that problem because I know you got the problem. It's always, and then you will look for someone who has some credentials, or someone will mention someone to you, right? So, and how do you know that someone has credentials? You read some blog posts, I mean, there's a whole process that's going on in your mind. So wouldn't it be great to do that before you need new clients or new sales, right? That's the whole idea behind it.
Exactly. And like I said, when you're giving value to someone too, and especially if it's helped them in a situation, then they want to be able to give back to you as well, right? So then you are kind of nurturing that relationship, and it might take a long time. I know sometimes, like in my industry too, when we're doing finance, a lot of times people want to learn about you for a long period of time, feel comfortable, because it's not easy to bring financial information and say, I need help, right? Where if you, maybe you just need to find someone who could do a great haircut for you or something, maybe that doesn't take as long, but you still want to see that they're great at what they do, right? So even something like that. So I think it's good to really just share and give information. Like you said, testimonials, it really comes back to even that, where other people can say why you did such a great job for them. I was here, I was struggling, and now I'm here. Things are great. So I think that's one thing we have to remember is really, if those aren't provided, to ask.
Right. And it's a marathon. I mean, we're not selling boots or sneakers, right? It's not something that you want to have tomorrow shipped to you by Amazon Prime. It's 6 to 10 months on average for any B2B client to become a client. So that's the whole challenge. So if you know it's a marathon, make sure that you're there in every step of their journey.
Exactly. Well, thank you so much on this. We had a great discussion on this topic. We're running short on time for our episode. So I wanted to ask if there's any offer that you would like to share with our listeners. And if they have questions and they want to touch base with you, how can they find you?
Yeah, sure. So if you want to know more about showing your expertise, you can go to our website, maxiality.com, and there's a free training, a video training that you can watch. And it will show you everything you need to know about how you can show your expertise to win new clients, basically. Yeah.
Perfect. And you mentioned LinkedIn too. Are you on LinkedIn? Maybe they can find you there. Or
Frank Husmann. I'm there definitely on LinkedIn. Very active as well.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, I mean, if we're talking business to business, LinkedIn is really where we need to be if we are selling our products to businesses. So reach out, find Frank on LinkedIn, reach out, connect. So, but thank you, Frank, for being a guest on my show and talking about this topic. I enjoyed our conversation.
Thank you so much for having me, Candy. It was great.
Thank you for tuning in today. Would you please share this episode with those you know and leave a review on your favorite platform? And if you find our show informative, would you consider being a financial sponsor to help me continue my mission to educate business owners? A link is located in the episode description, and no amount is too small. I'd really appreciate your support. If you are interested in connecting with our guest and receiving the offer they had to share, a link to our resource page is in the show notes. Finally, if you have any bookkeeping or payroll needs, reach out to us at 310-534-5577 or contact@abandp.com. My team and I are eager to assist you. Until next time, have a great day.
Thank you for listening to Biz Help for You. Please join your host, Candy Messer, again next time. Have a terrific day.